Hello everyone, welcome to Foreigner Farming in the Philippines. So I've been, this has been on my mind for, I don't know, like a year. And, I keep thinking we'll be able to make it happen, but we haven't been able to make it happen. The whole premise to these breeding tanks is being able to hatch our own fry and fingerlings for the floating cages. Yeah, turn that up a little bit. This is the morning top off, and I'll let that run about 30 minutes and give a little water exchange as well. So anyway, look, the whole premise behind these breeding tanks is to breed fry and fingerlings in anticipation of using them in the pond, in the floating cages in the pond. And I've just had to come to grips and face facts on what we're capable of doing here at the moment. And we don't need these breeding tanks because we're not going to be doing the floating cages in the pond anytime soon. So hence we don't need the floating cages. We don't need this breeding tank because we don't need the fry. Now, we had sold quite a few fry and fingerlings really, but we were out of fry like 2 times in a row when that guy came and wanted more, and that was like 6 weeks ago, and so he hasn't come back. And we only really had 3 what you could call decent customers, and I think they've got whatever they wanted, and they haven't come back. So I'm going to basically abandon these breeding tanks as breeding tanks. Now look, we've got a bunch of fish in this tank right here of a size that could be sold. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to transfer the fish that are in this tank and put them all in here. This is mostly fingerlings in this tank. I'm going to take all those out and put them back in the pond. And all the rest of the fish are going to go back in the pond. That's why we're shutting down the breeding tanks, is because we don't need them. We don't need the fry and the fingerlings that they would generate. And I'm not properly set up here to do it. This needs to be shaded somewhat, like we have over the nursery. It doesn't need to be shaded a lot. It just needs a screen over the top of it, just to keep the water temperature down a bit, keep any errant leaves and stuff out, to keep the algae growth in check somewhat. Water temperature down, algae, it just needs to be screened. We're a long way away from doing that. We need to redo the fence because the holes in it are too large. The dogs come and go basically as they please, because with the exception of like Buddy and Tiger, they can all fit through that 4-inch length. And I need a little building here. I was thinking of putting it right there, that I can house the aquariums, because I'll need 4 or 5 aquariums when I gather the eggs, to put them in tumblers, grow them out a little bit in the aquariums, and then transfer them into one of these tanks for a grow out until they're large enough to be able to put in the floating cages. Well, don't have money to build the building, don't have money to screen this, don't have money to redo the fence. It's just it's an unattainable goal from here. And so I'm just going to shut these breeding tanks down and move all the fish back into the pond. Keep some fish for sale in here, and the rest of these tanks I'll move the Azolla around a little bit so that all the tanks have Azolla, and with the exception of those two right there, they all have King Kong growing in them, but the fish eat it faster than it can grow. So, but with no fish, it would eventually cover all these. So this will be our little Azolla / King Kong grow out area rather than the fish. That would facilitate me being, I've got 4 little aeration compressors here that run 24/7. I would be able to shut all of them down except for one. That's an expense as well. Not much, but it is an expense. Everything adds up. And so I would only need aeration for this one instead of aerating all of them. So another cost-cutting measure. And like I was thinking this morning after the failed attempt at a live stream of how hard things are to get done here. And you know, it's not just the logistics of getting things done. Sometimes it's the internet. There's a lot of things. And one of those things, in our case in particular, is lack of funds. Now, of course, I had wanted to, and will someday, but I had wanted to rather quickly put floating cages in this pond. Again, don't have the money to get there from here. Each of those cages would require a labor expense to put them together and a small outlay of capital, outlay of cash to complete them, and more aeration. And that's just the start of it. And then, because they're fish in a cage, they would need to be fed 3 times a day. And not only do we not have the budget to make the cages, we don't have the budget to feed the fish. Because overall, we need a budget somewhere around $1,500 US to keep all the fish going before the first harvest. Don't have that either. So we're just going to put all this on hold and concentrate on the veggie side of the farm. I'm going to move those fish back into this pond. Because we do need fish in this pond for the nutrient value of the water. There's no fish in it now. And so we're just, you know, we might as well just have a drip system. I do want the nutritional value out of this water that having fish in it will provide. And so all those breeders, all the little fingerlings and fry, we're going to move back in here. And they're going to do what tilapia do, which is breed and fill this pond back up with fish. And then at some point, maybe, I don't know, 6 months or a year down the road, when we're financially able to easily do what I want to do here, we'll get back to tilapia in the floating cages. One of the things, you know, other than the capital outlay to build the floating cages and the labor, then we also have the ongoing expense of feed, and we have the ongoing expense of aeration. And if we have a large number of cages in here and a large number of fish, we can't be without aeration. And so that would also entail either the purchase of another 30 to 40,000 pesos, $600 to $800 in batteries, or a generator. Because when the power goes out here, and it goes out on a daily basis, you never know if it's going to be 5 seconds, 5 minutes, or 5 hours. If it's 5 hours, then all your fish are dead. So you have to have backup for the electricity. And it's just, it's all of this for right now is unattainable. We just don't have the money to make it happen. It's as plain and simple as that. I would love to do it. Can't get there from here. It's just too many things that are all intertwined on a financial level. We can't do it. Don't have money for feed, don't have money for proper aeration, don't have money for to get the cages built. It's just not going to happen. So beginning tomorrow, I'm going to start draining the tanks and moving the fish down here. And at some point, we'll pick all this back up where we're leaving off here. The pond is basically ready, except for the extension of this bank, which has to be done. This whole dam here, height of it needs to be raised up so that we have a deep enough pond to make those floating cages viable. That's another expense that we just don't have. So putting the intensive tilapia production on hold, and we're basically cutting the expense of having the breeding tanks operating when they're not doing anything, when they're not breeding any fish. It's not something that I'm real happy about, not something that I'm really wanting to do, but I don't see, there is no option. There are no other options except just putting things on hold and hoping for the best. I know that the fish videos are popular for the channel, and the harvests in particular, but hey, I worry less and less every day about the YouTube channel. You know, whether or not we make a financial success of this farm or not, the channel is going to be going away at some point because I'm over it. I think people are getting over it because of lack of fresh and diverse content, and I'm getting over it because of the basically 40 hours a week every day that I put into the YouTube channel, and the returns are becoming limited. It's just wearing on me. The lack of internet, the lack of camera, transferring videos. It's just it's getting just where it's no fun anymore. So you know, I had said before that we may be closing the channel down and selling this farm by January 1st of this next year. It's looking like now that the farm will be viable enough and profitable enough to we won't have to sell it. But the YouTube channel, we're probably going to be shutting it down regardless. I think we have gone the course. I think that I'm getting tired of it. The viewers are getting tired of it, and it's just time to move on. So probably another 8 months on the channel, unless something drastic changes. And of course, I'll keep you guys in the loop before then. But it's just getting, you know, it's over 6,000 videos now. There's plenty of content out there already. The new content is lagging. It's just something that's going to happen. So the immediate thing that's going to happen is the breeding tanks are going to be shut down, and the raising tilapia in the cages is going to be put on hold indefinitely. And we're going to concentrate on other areas on this farm. Thank you, everyone. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe.